So making a game by yourself is really difficult. I mean, huge companies struggle with actually releasing a game. Plus whatever crap is going on in your life, making a game by yourself as a solo indie dev is really difficult. So after 10 years of doing that, here's some tips that I've learned that make that a bit easier. So first is understanding exactly why it's difficult to make a game. So you get bored playing the same game over and over again. You get bored looking at the same thing, dealing with the same problems. And so that's going to mean that after 6 months or so, you might really, really feel burnt out and that you're just bored of making the same game. The other thing is, by the time you've got it working, by the time you've made the game look and feel like you want it to look, you've forgotten why it's good. So you're bored of it. You don't know what it's going to be like for a new player. You forget why this is a good game, and you can say, shit, why am I making this crap? And it's difficult because you don't know if what you're making is even good anymore. So how can you stay motivated to make something that you don't even think is fun anymore? You have to wear lots of different hats. So as a solo dev, or even working in a small team, you'll find that you might one day be drawing, you might another day have to put on your producer hat and think about timings and monies and schedules and stuff, and another time you have to think about game design, and then you have to think about coding, and then you have to think about fixing bugs, and you're just constantly changing hat, and it can be a bit stressful and it can be a bit overwhelming for the brain. The next one is your code will turn into spaghetti and you'll want to start again. So if you've ever had that experience where maybe you're playing Factorio, or maybe Baldur's Gate or Total War or any kind, or Civilization, or any big campaign game, and you'll get so deep into it and you'll end up with this big spaghetti mess with all of the mistakes you've made just staring you right in the face, and you think, now that I've learned how to do this, I should start a new factory. I should start a new file so I can do things properly with all the knowledge that I've acquired. Except that you'll come back and you'll find the same problem again. You'll make different mistakes and you'll end up with another pile of spaghetti, and you'll have wasted all of that time that you put into that session of the game. And so you don't want to lose all that time. You don't want to lose all that time that you put into that save file of Factorio. It's best just to fix the mistakes you have. I guess another issue is when you come back, let's say you've taken a break or something. It's have you ever taken a break from a Civilization or Factorio file for a few months and come back and you don't know what you're looking at? You've got so many things, you've got so many plates spinning, and because you've taken a break, because you've taken a short hiatus or something, and you're back and it's just this crazy mess of stuff, it can be a bit overwhelming. Yeah, the honeymoon phase is over. So what happens is, just like in any relationship, at first you've got butterflies in your stomach and you're so excited about making this new game and you're working great hours, and you don't have to tell yourself to work, you have to tell yourself to stop working because you've just got this great idea for a game. And then over time, the honeymoon's over and you have to deal with all the problems. You have to deal with all the things that don't work about the game, the things that you don't like about it, the things that you don't like about yourself. You have to deal. It's just like a relationship. Once the honeymoon phase is over, you've got two choices. Do I try again and put all of this effort into a new start, or do I fix the problems that are there? And fixing the problems that are there is the hard choice, and that's not easy to do. So like I said, it's hard for a company of seasoned, talented individuals to make a product, to make a game that can sell enough to justify the costs. So if you're having trouble, if you're having burnout, if you feel like you don't want to do this anymore, don't feel bad. Don't feel like this isn't for you, or you failed because you don't have that same passion that you had at the beginning. It's normal. It's very, very normal. People in much, much easier situations in game development have the same problem, if not worse. So before we get on to the do's, let's talk about the don'ts. So here's some things that you must not do. These are deadly sins that you must not commit. So the first one is, this is what most people do: don't move on to a different project. It's tempting, and like I said, if you've got your Factorio file and maybe you come back after a while, or you've just been playing for too long and you're seeing all the mistakes, you just want to start fresh. Well, you can't do that, because otherwise you're throwing away months and months of work just on training. It's not worth it. So again, just like in relationships, what a lot of people do is that they bounce from relationship to relationship, or they keep starting something new and they never finish the thing that they're on, because they have that problem of getting bored of it. Just like all the things I just mentioned, we say, okay, let's start a new project. And that's why you get so many people with a ridiculous amount of prototypes in their Unity files folder, and they never actually finish any of them, which is sad. The second thing that you must never do, and this is more my problem, is instead of abandoning the project and moving on to a new one, you just kind of like duct tape it together, send it out there, and then move on to your next one. This is what I've done in the past, to varying degrees. It's better than nothing. It's better than not finishing the project, and sometimes it might actually be the best choice for you. But I'll say that as someone who has done this, is you might look at an old project that you've released and say, damn, if I just had a fresh mind, if I'd been able to kind of reset a little bit and just put in like another 6 months of work into this project, it would have been a lot better. So sometimes you just need to go a little bit further. You need to put in that extra 6 months to make it work. So finally, here's how we do avoid burnout. This is what I've done to make sure that I always finish my projects, and more recently to say, actually, how can we get that extra 6 months? How can we look at our project objectively and go and finish with the same gusto, enthusiasm, and magic that we started with? So the first step is recognizing the problem. So, like I said before, it's okay to admit that you're hitting a wall. As a point of pride, we might say, no, I'm not hitting a wall. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not a lazy person. No, I think it's okay to admit that you're struggling, that you're having a bit of a moment. I've certainly had plenty of moments like this, and I'm having these sometimes with my current project. It's saying, oh yeah, I'm hitting that wall a little bit. I'm feeling that burnout. I've been working on my game that I'm working on now for like a year, and it gets a bit much, especially as a solo dev, for all the reasons I mentioned, wearing lots of different hats. I've been putting on, it's a lot. So don't feel bad. And recognize it. Recognize what's happening. Is it that you've got other shit going on in your life? Is it that you've got some kind of mental health issue? Or are you just burnt out? Because if you're burnt out and you don't feel enthusiastic about your main passion, yeah, that's going to make you quite depressed. But if you just realize that this isn't because you're a lazy person or you're not creative or you're not passionate, it's just because you've been working on the same thing for a year and you're going to be a bit bloody bored. You're going to be a bit antsy and you're going to want to just move on to the next thing. So yeah, remember that this is a marathon, not a sprint. So pace yourself. And do that from the beginning. Don't wait until you're burnt out to start pacing yourself. Like, go slow to go fast. Take it easy. But yeah, just get your 8 hours in a day or whatever you're able to give. Number 2 is take strategic breaks. So ideally productive breaks, like doing some exercise or playing with your kids or something. Do something else that makes you feel good, that is productive. So yeah, work on your health. Cook a healthy, delicious meal. Make a YouTube video. Do something else. Maybe if you can get some like freelance work on someone else's project, that's always a nice way to like take a little break. So again, it's strategic breaks, and take breaks seriously. So if you have a break and you find you're thinking about the work, the best thing is to actually really just focus on the break and take relaxation seriously. It's a bit of an oxymoron, but it's definitely worth it. Number 3 is talk about it. Talk about it with friends, family, whoever you have. If you don't have anyone, and I can relate with that, make a YouTube video. I don't know, talk to a stranger. Go to a pub or something, or your therapist or whatever, and talk to someone. Explain how you're having this problem. And talking about it, as with anything, as with any mental health issue or anything like that, talking about it with someone really, really helps. It will make you feel better. It will make you understand the problem better, and then it will help you understand the solutions better. And there are solutions. I think that's the core of this video. That's the point here, is there are solutions to feeling burnt out, and you don't have to feel this way, and you don't have to abandon this project. You can keep going. You just need to do a couple things to get yourself back in the right headspace. So yeah, take a break, go for a run, come back and fully oxygenated brain, take a week off, a strategic week off, and you'll feel better. Do a full 360, Number 4 is look after yourself. So treat your brain like an Olympic athlete, because like I said, making an indie game, being a solo developer is really, really, really hard. Being a developer and part of a big team is really, really hard. So you have to treat yourself like an Olympic athlete. You have to exercise. You have to eat well. You have to do all of these bloody things. You have to quit smoking. Unfortunately, I like to smoke. I used to smoke a lot, but since I've cut down drastically and even stopped, it's like going from 720p 15 frames per second to 4K 120 frames per second. Like it's just night and day. It's like PS1 to PS5. Like you're just a better person without your vices. And yeah, eating well, exercising, which is really hard. But again, I think for a lot of people to hear this, it's like that they'll be living very unhealthy lives. And they'll say, well, I don't care about my health. What I care about is my craft and my passion. Well, actually, they're one and the same. If you are healthy, if your brain is oxygenated and your body's healthy and you've got a good sleep cycle, you will find that you're better at doing it. You're going to make better decisions. You're going to make better games, and you're going to make them faster, and you're going to be less burnt out. So it's like you want to give yourself the best shot, basically. So definitely exercise. Don't neglect those things. You need to. What you're doing is difficult, so take that into account and treat yourself like you're doing a difficult job. Maybe it's not as difficult as working in an oil rig, but again, someone who works in an oil rig is going to do certain things to keep themselves healthy, to keep themselves sane, so that they can do such a difficult job. Step 5. This is a hard one, but just make your to-do list and just bloody do it. And again, it's kind of like game design. If you're a good game designer, you'll know how to give someone a gigantic list of tasks and break them up in a way that they find digestible and even fun and get them into a flow state. So if you ever find yourself looking at your to-do list and then just glazing over and going, oh my God, I can't do this. There's a couple things that you can do. One is break the task into smaller pieces. This is self-management 101. I'm not exactly breaking the mold with this advice. Break your task into smaller and smaller pieces. And even if it's ridiculous to do so, it's like break it up into open the project file. Open this thing. Decide on the resolution. Name the file. Like really, really, really break it down for yourself into the tiniest little pieces. And then you might find it easier to tackle. The other thing that can happen is you'll look at your to-do list and you'll find there's so much to do, especially as a solo dev. You'll just have this gigantic list of tasks to do, and some of them are really overwhelming. And I think often what I'll say is just do one of them. Start with something that you know has to be done. So this is like if you're doing a puzzle and you see all of these loose pieces on the board and they're not in place yet. That's like looking at your to-do list. And it's overwhelming. So what do? You start with you find the corner pieces and you say, okay, let's put the corner pieces in the corner. And then let's find the edge pieces and put them in the edge. And then we'll start building out each thing. And then you'll find it's a bit easier. You look at a massive to-do list and say, okay, you know what? Let's just pick one of these things at random and do that. And then you can take that off the list. And then your list gets smaller and smaller and easier to manage. And then, of course, you make it big again because you start making notes and realize the next step. But yeah, always manage your list carefully. Think of it like a game designer because you are a game designer. So number 6, again, one people won't want to hear, but be disciplined. Don't expect to enjoy it like you did at first and just bloody do it. Just get on with it. Like, you don't want to force yourself like to be a robot who just does everything perfectly all the time. But to some extent, you kind of have to get over yourself and say, look, people have had it harder than you. People have done much harder jobs than you. People have done amazing things with much less than you have right now. So just bloody get on with it. Grow up. Number 7, this is one of the really obvious ones, but it's keep it simple. Keep it, especially when you're starting out, keep it really, really simple. So make projects for your first game project or even your second or third is to do something that you can do in less than 6 months. That way you won't have that problem where 6 months down the line, you're like, you spent half a year on this. The seasons have changed while you've been working on this project. you can avoid that problem entirely by keeping it simple at the start. Although I understand if you don't do that, because I didn't do that. My first game took a year and a half or so. It was a 20-hour RPG. That's my first project, and then my second game. Yeah, I won't go on with it, but keep it simple. And the last one, eyes on the prize. So this should help with the other ones, but if you are able to take all of these points that I've laid out and be that person who can make a game as a solo developer and sustain development for a year or more, then you will be in the 1% of game developers. Like, if you get this right, the reward is so huge. Whether you're talking about making passive income enough to live a simple life just by doing what you love, or even making it really big and always having that chance, that there is a big prize here. Because again, you sell an indie game and you sell a measly 10,000 copies as a solo dev. Again, 250k or like, I don't know, 100k. That's not a lot for 10 people. That's very measly for 10 people for a year's work. But for one person, that's absolutely life-changing. That's a very good salary. So yeah, eyes on the prize. If you get this right, if you are able to beat this burnout, which is what gets most people out, you will be rewarded. Whether it's small or big, you'll be able to do what you love as a job. So yeah, that's everything. Those are my tips on how to avoid burnout. And yeah, like I said, if you do these things, you will be in the 1% of game developers, and you'll win. You'll win at life. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you find it useful. Please let me know if there's anything that I missed, if you've got any of your own tips, or if despite all of these, if this didn't solve your problem, if you're feeling burnout and you feel like none of these really hit, come chat, come join the stream, leave a comment, and let's figure it out. Because if we can deal with this problem, there's everything to gain. So yeah, thanks very much. If you watched this video, please like and subscribe. Please wishlist Army of Survivors on Steam, and yeah, thanks very much. Cheers, bye.